accepted my request. And so the House of Commons will be prorogued until March
More
24th.
French is the first thing to go
Days,
when we take over
and
Canada.
I had the opportunity
Because this is
to
Who's this
reflect
guy doing this show? Is there
as I
another
have
way I
long
can watch
talks
this?
with my family with regards to our future. Throughout my career, all my success is due to their support and to their encouragements. So last night over dinner, I told my kids what I am telling you here today.
There we go. Better.
I asked the president of the Liberal Party to begin this process.
I can believe he's resigning. It's about damn time.
Our country deserves a real choice during the next election, and it's become obvious for me that if I have to fight internal
This is a pretty big deal
battles,
for my country. That's why I'm
I
showing you guys
cannot
this.
be the best choice. The Liberal Party of Canada is an important institution in the history of our great country and our democracy.
It's going to be a woman. It's probably going to be
Prime Minister
Jolie,
and leader
and
of
she's
the
going to
party
lose really badly.
Will carry forth the ideas and the values of
I'm gonna
the
get a
Liberal
cake
Party
later
during
on,
the
you
next
know?
election. I'm looking forward to watching this process unfold over the following months. We were elected in 2021 for a third mandate to reinforce the economy after the pandemic and to advance the interests of Canada in a complex world. And that is exactly what I will continue to do and what we will continue to do for Canadians.
The Liberal Party of Canada is an
Disdain
important
Canadian. This is the
institution in
most
the history of our
hated
great
prime
country and
minister
democracy.
who started out one of the
A new
best.
Prime
I
Minister
actually
and
liked
leader of the
Trudeau
Liberal
when he
Party
first started,
will
and now I
carry
absolutely
its
despise him.
values and ideals into that next election. I'm excited to see the process unfold in the months ahead.
I'm sure you are.
We were elected for the third time in 2021 to strengthen the economy.
I'd like to see someone who's not such a
advance
wanker,
Canada's interests
but the
in
whole
a
Liberal Party is
complicated world.
wankers. So
And that is
they want to tax
exactly the
people to
job that
oblivion.
I
I'm so
and
sick of the
we
tax rate in this
will
country. It's so
continue to do
insane to
for
me.
Canadians.
I can
Merci
understand
beaucoup,
some French. My wife's fully
Thank you,
bilingual.
Prime Minister. We'll now go to questions, starting with
Here we go.
Laurence Martin.
Questions.
Bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau.
Hello, Mr. Trudeau.
Vous vouliez le faire, ce combat contre Pierre
You wanted
Poilievre.
to
Des
have
batailles internes, il y en a dans votre
an
parti
election
depuis
with
plusieurs mois
Pierre
déjà.
Poilievre as your
Comment est-ce
opponent.
que vous
There have been
décidez
internal
d'abdiquer
battles for a
maintenant?
while.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a
Why
décidé
are you
de
giving up now?
Mhm.
What made you change your mind?
Well, I'm the most hated prime
As you
minister
know,
in the entire history of Canada. That's why.
I don't easily back down faced with a
No,
fight,
no
especially
NDP with
a very
Jugmeat. Maybe
important one for
NDP
our
with another
party and
Jack
for the
Layton.
country.
Yes, not Jugmeat.
But-
Jugmeat's a turd. I hate that guy. They call him the Maserati Marxist
I
for
do
a
this
reason. Talks
job
about like he thinks he's freaking
Because
what's his name? Robin Hood, but he friggin'
the
wears a
interests of
Rolex.
Canadians
Rolex
and the
Robin Hood.
well-being of our democracy is something that I
Yes,
hold
I know
dear.
he's done multiple blackface
And it's
multiple.
become clear to
He
me
said in his own words
that
more times than he's can remember.
I
Sorry.
cannot be the leader during the next elections due to internal battles.
As you all know, I am a fighter, and I am not
Fighter,
someone who
shut
backs away from
seen
a
this
fight,
guy try boxing?
particularly when a fight is as important as this one is. But I have always been driven by my love for Canada, by my desire to serve Canadians, and by what
He's
is
a
in the
nepo
best
baby.
interest
He
of
has no
Canadians.
business being prime minister of Canada.
And Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election. And it has become obvious to me with the internal battles
Get toilet paper on
I-
your shoe, Wanda.
cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
Vous êtes au pouvoir depuis près de 10
You've
ans.
been in power
Le
for nearly
Canada a
10
changé
years.
avec votre
Canada
gouvernement.
has changed with your
S'il y a
government.
une réalisation
If there's
que vous nommez dont vous êtes le plus fier,
one
dans le
accomplishment
système
that you're the
national,
most proud
et
of,
peut-être
I know
un
there are
regret
several,
aussi.
but perhaps the thing you are most proud of, and maybe one regret? Answer. In 2015, we were elected on a promise to work for the middle class in this country.
Middle class. You can
And
get
that is what we
effing
did.
wrecked. Are you shitting me right
We
now?
reduced the level of poverty.
The
We
audacity.
helped families. We created an economy that works for many more people while preparing for the future, a more digital future, and to prepare for
Most
a world
of Canada
where climate
wanted
change
him
will
out.
have a greater impact.
I can speak a
We've
little
done
bit of French
lot
and
of work
understand
with
more than I can
Canadians,
speak.
And Canada is better off due to the work that we've all done over the past few years. A regret? I continue to think that if our
I regret
electoral system had
evoking
been
a War
changed
Measures Act against protesters who are
so
just
that
trying to fight
people
for the rights of
would be able
Canadians.
to,
That's what he regrets. No, he
have
doesn't.
a first, second, and third choice on the ballot, parties would have spent more time looking at their points in common
Middle class. Middle class
to be
took
the
the
second
brunt
or
of his
third choice of
arseholery.
voters rather than to see this.
Oh, I remember when he
polarization.
froze truckers' bank accounts.
But I could not unilaterally change our ballot system.
We got elected in 2015 to fight for the middle class, and that's exactly what we've done over the past years. We reduced their taxes.
No, you
we,
have not.
uh,
No, you
increased the
haven't.
benefits to families. We made sure the economy was
No,
focused
no,
on
no.
working
He-
for everyone
oh,
and not just a few.
The audacity. He
And that
took
has
from the middle
changed.
class and gave to the
That has
people who were
dropped poverty
poor
rates in
and
Canada. That has
dropped the
brought
poverty.
more people.
You know how
into
much
the
it costs to
workforce.
live
That has
to buy a home in this country?
moved us
In the
forward on
country?
reconciliation
This
in a
son
way
of a
that
bitch.
has deeply improved the opportunities and success of Canadians, despite the incredibly difficult times.
And
the world
still
is going
lies.
through right
Just
now.
can't tell the truth ever. No truth ever from this guy.
There's lots more work to be done, and I know that
Sorry.
this party and this country and Canadians will keep doing it.
Oh, we'll have a party.
If I have one regret, particularly as we approach this election, well, there are probably many regrets that I
Yeah.
will think of. But I do wish that we'd been able to change the way we elect our governments in this country. So
Why would
that
Trump
people
resign?
could
He's not even
simply
president yet.
choose a second choice or a third choice on the same ballot, so that parties would spend more time trying to be people's second or third choices. And people would have been looking for things they have in common instead of trying to polarize and divide Canadians against each other. I think in this
You got to be kidding
time,
me right now.
figuring out how to pull together and find common ground remains something that is really important for democracies. But I could not change unilaterally without support of other parties our electoral system. That wouldn't have been responsible.
He was supposed to change the
Question
electoral
is-
system.
Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star. Prime Minister, up until 3 weeks ago, you were intending to stay, and it seems that the event 3 weeks ago of Ms. Freeland coming out and saying you were firing her
Taylor's
as
right.
your finance minister was the catalyst that brought us here today. So can you explain your side of what happened there?
Christia has been by my side for close to 10 years now. She has been an incredible political partner through just about everything we have done as a government and as a party over the past decade. I had really hoped that she would agree to continue as my deputy prime minister and take on one of the most important files that not just this government, but this country is facing. But
He
she
should have
chose
stepped down 2
otherwise.
years ago.
In regards to what
I
actually
can't wait to see
happened,
Jugmeet
I am
removed too
not
as the
someone who's
NDP
in the
leader.
habit of
Gone.
sharing
Gone.
private conversations. Christia a été depuis presque 10 ans maintenant
Christia was by my side for nearly
à mes
10
côtés
years.
en tant que partenaire
She was a
politique
political partner,
essentiel à
I'm going to say it's going to be
a
Jolie.
crucial
That's
a
what I
political
think. That's
partner,
my
given everything
guess.
that we've gone through
I
as a
hope it's not
party
Freeland
and
because
as a
she's as bad or
government.
worse than he is. No joke.
And
qu'elle
I really would have wanted
choisisse de
for her to
continuer
choose to
en tant
continue
que ma vice-première ministre
as my deputy prime minister
et qu'elle prenne un des dossiers les plus importants
and that she would take
auxquels
over one of the
Canadiens et notre
most
I just wish
important
they would have called an
files
election
that we will
so
have
that
to deal with.
Jagmeet Singh didn't get his pension because
the
that's
next
the
few
only reason
months.
Jagmeet Singh kept this guy in
But she did
power
not
for the
want to do
last
that.
little while because Jagmeet gets his pension in
As for
March,
details,
and so he just
I'm
held
not
off
one
on
to share details
taking down
of
the government
private
because he wanted
conversations.
his pension. He's just being greedy. It's crazy to me.
Battles right now, but I'm wondering if you feel that another leader will have more success than you will at beating Pierre Poilievre in the next campaign.
No,
Pierre Poilievre's vision for this country
is the vision of everybody now because
is
what
not
you guys
the right
did to
one
it.
for Canadians.
Oh no,
Stopping
Canadians
the fight
beg
against
to differ.
climate change Doesn't make sense.
Oh my gosh. Do you know how many trees we have in this
Backing off
country?
on the values
You
and
can definitely tax climate
strength
change,
and
though.
diversity.
If you
that
just pay enough
Canada
tax,
has always,
climate change will stop.
always worked to pull itself together on. It's not the right
It's crazy
path
to
for
me
the country.
that people believe this crap.
Attacking journalists, the CBC institutions. That's not what Canadians need in this moment. We need an ambitious, optimistic view of the future.
We need to
And Pierre
tax
Poilievre
Canadians into
is not
poverty. If you
offering
have
that.
any semblance of wealth
And I look
whatsoever,
forward,
we want to make
to
sure
the
that you don't
fight
have any of that.
as progressives across this
You know,
country,
if you make a little bit
stand
more
up
money
for
than everybody,
the
we want to
kind of
equalize it. We
vision for a
basically
better
want to make
country
sure that
Canadians have
we take from
always
people who have money
carried,
and give it to people who don't,
despite
because
the
that's equity.
tremendous
We want
pressures
equity.
around the world to think smaller, to veer towards the hard right, and to be less ambitious for what we can be and do as a country when the world really needs Canada.
That's not an answer, though. Yes or
Yeah,
no?
it's
Is
not
there
an
another
answer.
leader that could beat him?
Absolutely.
Sur le leader?
Oui.
Non, mais est-ce que vous, en est-ce que
Pierre-
vous
Pierre
pouvez
Poilievre.
élaborer en
Who's
français,
gonna
s'il vous
beat
plaît?
Pierre?
Merci.
Pierre Poilievre
Name
a une
one.
vision
Name one.
profondément
Has
petite
a very
et
small
erronée pour ce pays.
Yeah,
vision.
Kirmer or
and,
whatever his name is in the UK needs to step down
a
before
wrong
he
vision
starts
for
a
Canada, if we
freaking
even
war in your
accept that he
country.
has a
There's going to be a
vision.
civil war in the UK
He wants to
compared to.
back off
If you don't
on
know what
fundamental
whatever it is,
values.
Kirmer Starmer, Kier, whatever his name is doing, it is
Wanted to
insanity
stop
what's
the
going on
fight
in the
against
UK. I
climate
cannot believe
change.
people in the UK are putting up with that bullshit. It's insanity. There's no freedom there. You have no
Refusing
freedom.
to invest in a greener and more inclusive economy.
Toujours chercher des divisions,
Trying
Yes, a
to
moderate right
divide
is a hard right in any
Canadians
socialist
rather
size.
than
faire face à
uniting them
l'avenir
to face the
de façon
future
optimiste,
together
ambitieuse.
in an ambitious and
C'est
optimistic
pas le
way.
choix pour le Canada.
That is not the right choice for
Et j'ai
Canadians.
hâte de faire partie
And I'm looking
de continuer
forward
de faire partie d'un mouvement
to be part of a
progressiste qui va
progressive
envisager
movement
un avenir
that
meilleur
will
pour les
seek out a
Canadiens.
better
Mhm.
future for our
C'est
country and for
Yep.
Canadians.
et le
Do you know how much?
travail
Yeah, Wanda's right.
toujours fait.
Makes 90K. That used to be a lot of
An
money.
optimistic
90K is
vision
like poverty line now,
Canadians.
just so you're aware in Canada.
It
Can't make
envisages
it in 90K.
Hello, Mr. Trudeau. 16 years ago, in December 2008, Stephen Harper prorogued Parliament to avoid a vote of non-confidence that he knew that he would lose because the three opposition parties would vote against him. It's the exact same situation that you find yourself in today. Stéphane Dion at the time had said, and I quote, that this was an affront to democracy. I'd like to know why what was bad for conservatives of Stephen Harper should be good for the Liberals of Justin Trudeau. The Governor General in 2008 had concluded
Everybody
and
is,
correctly
even
so,
liberals are happy
that
he's stepping aside. That's how badly this guy is hated. Imagine, like, liberals in the
given
US
formal
were like, Biden's great. He's not old. And they would stick to him
confidence
because they're just
in
fed the
Harper's
line. They're
government.
told that's your liberal leader, so you have to stick to him, and they just would blindly follow it. In
despite
Canada,
a signed
that was the
letter.
case up until like 6
This was
months
a
ago. It was like,
political
even the
document at the
liberals
time.
were like, get wrecked, Trudeau. Get
The
out of
voice
here.
of the House counts. So, before stopping
He does have
the
nice
work at
hair.
the
I'll give him
House
that.
over the holidays, we won 3 non-confidence votes.
You didn't win 3 non-confidence votes, and that's such a lie because Jagmeet
And
said he was
so
going to do non-confidence in March
We're
once he
going to
got
have
his
to test the
pension.
confidence of the House.
You won confidence because
of
Jagmeet
March.
Singh is a greedy, dirty liar. That's why you won confidence.
To adopt the necessary
Because
budgetary
Jagmeet wanted to
credits
get
so
his
that the
pension, which was like
government can continue to,
$250,000 a year. That's how much
function.
that's how much he's going to get.
2008, The Governor General correctly concluded that because the very last times in the previous weeks that the confidence of the House had been tested, it had passed that confidence
it didn't.
test.
No.
Stephen Harper.
All,
continued
if you
to
guys
have
don't
the
know Canadian
confidence
politics,
of the House, and it
Jagmeet
actually
Singh
would
is the
bear
leader of the
out
NDP
because
party. We
as
have
soon
4
as they
major
came back
parties,
from the
okay?
prorogation,
He's
Stephen
the
Harper
NDP
won
about as
a
socialist as
confidence
you can get. They're
vote
like the
once again.
Bernie Sanders party,
So
okay?
a political document or political
And when we have a
speech
no
doesn't
confidence
carry
vote,
the
it means
kind
that
of
everybody
weight
votes and we don't have confidence in our
that,
prime minister. Let's start an election. The only reason it didn't go through is
winning a
because
confidence
Jagmeet
vote
Singh
means.
is eligible for his pension
this
in March, and he didn't want
prorogation
to.
will
He didn't
take
want
only
to
into
have
March,
a
and there
an
will
election
be
because he would not get
confidence
his
votes
pension. That
in
is
March,
the only reason the government is where it's at right
in
now,
the
because
passing of
Jagmeet
supply
is an absolute
that will
dirty,
allow Parliament
greedy
to weigh
liar.
in on confidence. in a way that is entirely in keeping with all the principles of democracy and the workings of our strong institutions.
Mais avec
Mhm.
respect, Monsieur Trudeau, y a-t-il pas
With
quelque
all
chose
due
un peu
respect,
antidémocratique
isn't there
de
something a
suspendre
little
la
bit
possibilité du
anti-democratic
Parlement
to
d'exprimer
suspend
sa
the
non-confiance
possibility of
le
the
temps que
House
votre
of
parti
expressing
se
their
cherche
non-confidence
Yep.
while your party is looking for its savior? Shouldn't
juste se référer aux électeurs et de déclencher dès maintenant une élection?
shouldn't
I'm
you call an
surprised they're
election right
asking
now?
these questions. I really
Well,
am.
I think that as everyone in the press gallery, the parliamentary press gallery knows, the extent to which Parliament has been paralyzed now for several months.
So
We are stuck on a question of
this is a good
privilege.
question, but I really want to answer this question.
There are
Um,
constant obstructionist motions
how
being
much these
presented,
our
and we've
politicians make for
accomplished
their
very little
it's insane. It's insane.
over the past few
Thanks,
months.
Bitsy.
The House of Commons needs a reset. People need to calm down and to get back to work for Canadians and not play petty politics constantly. And this is what we're seeing on behalf of the Conservatives right now. So this
Excuse
reset
me?
has two elements.
Petty politics? Not
Prorogation
play
to
petty?
begin
Are
with.
you serious right now?
This allows us to
You asshole.
start over with a fresh new approach at the Parliament. And secondly, the Liberal Party
Twat.
will begin
What?
the process to choose a new leader. And I expect that if I am not the one who will lead the party to the next elections,
This guy.
the polarization that we see right now at the House of Commons should also settle down. Canadians need
He's telling
a
people to
fully
calm
functioning
down.
Parliament.
They're asking him why he's
Specifically,
proroguing Parliament, which means
during
he's
this
shutting down
conference
Parliament so
period.
nothing can get done
And
while the
both
Liberal Party
elements
searches for
will
their next leader,
represent
which is it's
the
his right
reset
to
that
do
we
it.
need.
It's bullshit. It's cowardly. But he's like,
In English,
we're
but
going to
can
take
you
a minute to
explain
calm down.
why you're
Is
not
that what
calling
we're
an election?
doing? Oh.
Parliamentary press gallery and anyone who's been watching politics closely over the past months will know that Parliament has been entirely seized by obstruction and filibustering and a total lack of productivity
Oh my
over the
God.
past few months.
Not
We are right
Trudeau
now the
talking about
longest serving
filibustering.
minority
Not
government in history. And it's
remind
time
me
for
to
a
talk
reset.
about filibustering in a
It's
second,
time
okay?
for the temperature to come down, for the people to have a fresh start in Parliament, to be able to navigate through these complex times, both domestically and internationally. And the reset that we have is actually two parts. One is the prorogation, but the other part is recognizing that removing me from the equation as the leader who will fight the next election for the Liberal Party should also decrease the level of polarization that we're seeing right now in the House.
Yeah,
and
the
in
polarization is
Canadian
everybody
politics
but
and
you,
allow
Trudeau.
people to actually
Polarization
focus
only
on
comes from
serving
the
Canadians,
opposition.
in this
Is it-
House and with
the
their
f-
work the way Canadians deserve.
On va
The
prendre une dernière
audacity.
question.
Good morning, Prime Minister Stephanie Taylor with the National Post. Given, as you just said, there's going to be confidence votes in March, opposition parties have said they are prepared to bring down your government. What kind of chances do you think you are leaving to your successor, given that there will only be mere weeks for them to introduce themselves to Canadians before heading into an election, potentially?
I have a tremendous amount of confidence in both Canadians and in parliamentarians' interest in serving Canadians in the right way.
You're such a
They're-
damn liar.
We're in a minority government right now, and there hasn't been an active leadership in a minority government in more than 50 years in this country. And there is always going to be the challenge of having a leadership
prorogues
race
it.
while a parliament would face
It's a cowardly
confidence
move,
votes,
and he got upset with
and
and everybody does
course
it, but he got
of
upset
delivering
when
supply
the
to
prime
the
minister
government.
before him did it,
so
and
this
he
is
was all like,
something
"Oh,
that
proroguing is
we're
cowardly."
going
Now
to
he's doing
navigate
it.
through.
Give
But
me
I
one
truly
politician
feel
out there,
that
right, left, center,
removing
that's
the
not a fucking hypocrite.
contention
Sorry for swearing.
around my own continued leadership is an opportunity to bring the temperature down, have a government that
I don't
will
know.
focus on
sorry,
the
I'm talking too
complex
much.
issues that are coming forward in the coming months, while the party gets to have a
New sweater.
full national process that brings in people from right across the country and makes a determination about the best person to carry the progressive liberal standard into the next election.
Can you clarify whether ministers who would like to campaign for your job will have to step out of cabinet? And
They should
how
have to.
can
They
the
should
Liberal
have to.
government be in a position
They should
to
step out. You want the role? Get
protect
lost.
Canadian businesses and Canadians from the threat of tariffs from incoming President Donald Trump when members of the government are going to be focused on who's going to be taking your job?
The government will still, and the cabinet will still be very much focused on doing the job that Canadians elected us to do in 2021.
No, you're not.
Which is fight for their interests,
Fight
stand
for
up
your
their
interests.
well-being,
Stop lying.
and make sure that they are good and that Canadians are protected and strong. There will be a leadership process, and the rules will unfold over the coming weeks. But
You're gonna make the rules up, are you?
That the tools and the need to stand up for Canadians, to protect Canadians
From
in their
what?
interests
From
and
liberals.
continue to fight for the economy is something that everyone in this government will be.
They imported
singularly
5
focused on.
million East Indians and to our like
Through
Asian Indians to our country. You can't find housing here. It's
I can say
even in the country, it's
that,
$2,600 for a
the rules and
2-bedroom apartment.
conditions for the leadership of the Liberal Party will be discussed in the following weeks. The government that was elected
Yeah, the pendulum
to
swung
protect
back big time here.
Canadians and their interests in a very complex world that was elected in 2021 will continue to work with a focus and a singular.
Okay, so he's talking about this
emphasis.
bullshit for a second. Hear me out. When he's talking about filibustering, and he's like, "Oh, we should calm down and we shouldn't be filibustering." Go to YouTube and type in Trudeau not answering questions. Anytime this guy or anybody in his party has ever been asked a question where they have to be held, oh, he's leaving. Like he just pieces out. He doesn't even. He's like, "Okay, bye."
Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada and leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, and now
This lady, don't get me started on this lady who's speaking right now.
I'm Rosemary Barton, Chief
Rosemary
Political
Barton is a
Correspondent, here with
turd.
our special coverage of this monumental day in Canadian politics.
She should be scared
Justin
for her
Trudeau
job because
confirming what
they're
we've
going
been
to delete
reporting
the
this
CBC.
morning, that indeed he is stepping away from his role, saying that while this is a critical moment in the world, and he is a fighter, he has realized that he cannot continue to fight an election as he fights internal battles. Told Canadians that he only told his kids last night at dinner that he was making this decision, to give you an idea of how he struggled
buddy,
with
they
that
prorogued
decision
the
over
Parliament,
time.
meaning
And
they
he
don't need a
called
leader right
for
now.
a leadership
They don't
process,
need
which
it.
he says it should be, quote, robust, nationwide and competitive in choosing the next leader. The Parliament also has been prorogued until March 24th, which gives
Coward
the Liberal
assholes.
Party some time to put that process in place. But a slightly emotional Justin Trudeau, obviously making an announcement that he didn't want to
Shut
make,
up.
but felt at this point that he had no further choice. The host of Power and Politics, David Cochrane, is here. CBC's senior writer, Aaron Wary, and writer, author of a book about Justin Trudeau and his leadership. I guess there won't be a follow-up, Aaron, at this stage. David, what did you take from what Justin Trudeau had
Well,
to say?
it was interesting. The Prime Minister said in announcing why he was leaving that it became very clear to him that if he has to keep fighting internal battles, he can't be the credible choice for Canadians in the next election. You can either say he's an acknowledgement of the caucus unrest, or you could say he's pointing the finger at the caucus unrest as the reason that he is leaving. It to some degree ignores the fact that they lost Toronto St. Paul's, lost LaSalle Mard Verdun, lost Langley Cloverdale by a massive margin. All seats they held, which they do not hold as of today. And Andy Fillmore, who is now the mayor of Halifax, was the MP for Halifax.
All right, we'll talk about this. Where is this video? All right, so here's how this works in Canada. People are asking, The people get to choose their leader in Canada. It's very similar to the US. Okay. It's very, 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 very similar. We have 4 major parties. We have the Green Party, we have the NDP, we have Liberals, and we have Conservatives, and then a couple like CPC. We have other like fringe, but those are the 4 major parties. I mean, Green Party is really not a major party. They only really get 1 to 2 seats, maybe every election cycle, run by Elizabeth May, who is a complete alky and just is a total terrible person. Yeah, the Canadian dollar is soaring following this announcement. Yep. Here you go. Here's a lesson in Canadian politics. We're very much, again, part of the Commonwealth of the UK. We serve we serve the king, not the queen anymore, the king. They have no power here, but we run we're run independently of but we are Commonwealth under the king. Our politics are very, very lame in comparison to US. It's not as crazy as yours. Obviously, we have 1/10 of the population in Canada than the US has, and we have a bigger area, right? But most of the people who live in Canada live right along the border. Like I'm saying, like 80% of Canadians live so close to the US, and we have so much land mass. So when it comes to the politics of this country, Liberals have had power for 9 years. And at the beginning, I was a Trudeau fan. Okay. I was like, he's a young guy. He's going to come in. He's going to do some cool stuff. He's going to help the middle class. He's going to do all this kind of stuff. And at the point when he came in 2015, I was a pastor, probably making $35,000 a year. And we had a house. We owned a home. My wife was also working. As a pastor, I was making $35,000. It wasn't a lot of money. And we were getting by just fine. We had a van. We had adopted we were just at the beginning stages of adoption. And we were doing just fine at making probably together $65,000 a year. Okay. And we had a $420,000 home. And I just priced that home when we sold it. We sold it and put ourselves out of debt, which was great. But if I would have held onto that home until now, that $420,000 home today would be worth well over $900,000. And that's from 2015 to now. Okay. The Liberals have absolutely demolished and destroyed our economy. Okay. And then COVID hits and all shit hits the fan everywhere. Nobody knows what to believe. And of course, we have hindsight now. And so you can't really blame everybody for being like, well, because we didn't have hindsight. But we have hindsight now. And our government was one of the worst when it comes to the freedoms that they took from us. Okay. I wasn't allowed to travel the US unless I was vaccinated. I had to show a vaccination passport to go places. They shut down playgrounds. They shut down beaches. If you could be arrested for going to a playground, they put caution tape around playgrounds. Okay, so they messed up big time. The Liberals they hired over 30% more or even more government workers. It's like 1 in 3 Canadians works for the Canadian government and they don't do shit. Okay, it's just like your government in the US. I know dozens and dozens of government workers. I know some who are really hard workers, and I know some who are like, here's how I do what I do at work, and they don't do anything. Okay, they don't. We have so much bloated waste in our government, like every government in the world. Okay, that it takes away so much money. We have so much waste, and our taxes are insane. I just talked to a business guy. Okay, and I said, help me understand if I want to start a business in Canada. I want to do something, let's say, I don't know, like heavy equipment rental and buy a bunch of pieces of equipment in a space and get the insurance and rent out heavy equipment. Right? He's like, don't do it. If you make over $250,000 in Canada in a business, they will tax you at 66%. The government punishes people who make money in this country. They don't want you to. And they think, well, you're making enough. We need this to go to poor people. And I'm not saying don't give to poor people who need it. Okay. But the government in Canada wants people reliant on them to the point where they are actually putting out there that they want to do like like everybody gets a basic income of $25,000. If you don't need it, you don't take it, or you make too much, you don't get it. But they want everybody to be reliant on the government. Okay. They want you to be, for all intents and purposes, slaved to the government. Okay. And that's the Liberals were going that direction. They put in a carbon tax. Okay. Imagine California, your gas in California. That's what our gas is like here, only even more. Okay. In Vancouver, they were registering gas. Yeah, the UK is bad. They were registering gas at $1.80 a liter. Guys, that is a liter, not a gallon. Okay? What's that? US gas to CAD prices calc. Okay, here it is. So if the Canadian gas is $1.80, right? That is $4.72 a gallon. Okay. They put in a carbon tax because he's like, we need to fight climate change. And okay, maybe we do. Okay. But Canada in itself, if we went carbon positive, does that make sense? So not like if we went the opposite way, we still would have 0% impact on climate change of the world because Canada has billions and billions and billions of trees that offset the CO2 emissions that come from vehicles. Don't forget the landmass of Canada is one of the biggest in the world, if not the biggest in the world since USSR broke up. Okay, we have the biggest landmass in the world with the most, I don't know if we have the most trees, but we're pretty damn close. Okay, so they implemented this carbon tax, which increased our gas prices from $1 a liter to now $1.50 on average a liter. Okay, I can go to the States. I have a Suburban because like we have a big family, right? And I have to haul stuff and I do a lot of work. Okay, that Suburban is awesome. But to fill up my Suburban in Canada is $160. To fill up my Suburban in the US when I go to Ogdensburg or to anywhere in the US is $80. Think about that for a second. Even on the transfer of the dollar amount, it's still way cheaper for me to cross the border 50 minutes away, get gas and come home than it is to get gas here. Yeah, I can turn slow chat off. I can turn it down a bit. I want to be able to read those chats. Sorry, guys. I'll offset it to like 20 seconds. So anyway, I know I'm going on a rant, but the liberals have come into this country and made it so that if you want to have a good life, and I'm not saying like you should, like the billionaires existing is a thing, right? But you need to make well over $150,000 in this country to be middle class now. Do you know how difficult that is? $150,000 a year. And still, you're just kind of breaking even. The price of housing went up 40% since this guy's been in power. 40%. You know how much it costs to live in Vancouver or Toronto? It's on average the same price it costs to live in Manhattan, in New York City. Okay? You can't even live in the country anymore. The homes in the country are $400,000 to $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in the country. You're on well and septic. Our property taxes are through the roof. So the first thing Pierre Poilievre, when he gets in, is going to do is going to cancel the carbon tax, and gas is going to go down 45 cents. Like that's even on that alone, he could be voted in just on that alone. He's not touching anything that has to do with like identity politics. He's not touching anything that has to do with like abortion. He's not touching any of that stuff. None of that stuff he's coming in because our conservatives are liberal compared to US politics. Okay, Canadians are very liberal, even in the conservative wing of the party. Okay. I watched Jordan Peterson's interview with Pierre. I thought it was a great interview. Pierre seems like a great choice. Like Pierre's, you know what Pierre is? He's boring. But we kind of need boring. Okay, but he also is common sense boring. Our conservatives are common sense conservatives. Okay, they don't come in. They're not trying to change everything. Not trying to overturn things. They just want it to be fair. Pierre is going to come in and he's going to defund CBC, which is great because it's like a freaking mouthpiece for the Liberal Party. And they're mad about it. Okay, we spend billions of dollars in waste on things that are only going to serve one party. They don't serve Canadians, they serve the party. Okay, he's going to come in, he's going to cancel the carbon tax. Do you know that in Canada, I don't know if you know this, not like Texas, if someone were to break into my house, the only thing I can do is proportionally respond to what they're doing in my home. So if you come into my home with a gun, I can shoot you, right? I could still go to jail for it, but it's unlikely. If you broke into my house with a bat and I shot you, I'm going to jail. We cannot stand up for ourselves. To one degree, that police in Toronto put out a social media post saying, just give the damn keys to the robbers. Okay? Don't make them come into your house and rob you. Just give them the effing keys. Leave them on your porch, basically, is what they were saying. People who do crimes in Canada don't act oh my gosh, our justice system is broken. We cannot protect ourselves. They're taking away all of our guns. They're trying to take away every single gun that we have. They're trying to do what Australia did and what the UK did. And unless Pierre gets in with a super majority, and I hope he does, I don't even think he's going to touch that. That's what I'm saying. We're very liberal there. I think Pierre should get in and be like, reverse everything. I want to be able to protect my family and my home. I can't do that in Canada without the fear of actually going to prison. And if they want to send you to prison politically, they can do that. Okay. It's like if you're, but I'm saying that to say that if you break into my house, I'm going to jail. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to leave my house alive. So I don't care. Like I know what I will protect my family at all costs, even if that means I'm going to jail. Okay. It's better to be judged by a panel of people than to be put in the ground by a bunch of people. Do you know what I mean? Saying I'm like, it's not going to happen. But all that to say, people are not allowed to stand up for yourselves here. We are a passive, disgusting country that doesn't allow its citizens to stand up for itself. Right. And if you oppose the 5 million Indians coming into our country because you can't find a place to live, you're racist for saying that. 5 million. Guys, I know 5 million in the States is not a lot of people. We only have 37 million people in Canada. So you're bringing in an insane amount of immigrants who are taking literally, and I know I say this and it sounds weird, they're taking every job at every fast food restaurant in this whole country. So my kids can't find jobs. I have kids who are of job age. They cannot find a job at a Dollarama, at a McDonald's, at a Wendy's, and it's important. You cannot find a job here. Just go on Twitter or anywhere else and look up, type in Kitchener and the lineups for a job at Tim Hortons. Okay, they are literally 500 people waiting in line for one job at Tim Hortons. Yeah, my wife won't let me. So who takes over now? It's probably going to be Jolie. I think it's going to be Jolie. I hope it's not Freeland. Freeland is the deputy prime minister who just resigned. And that means that if she would have taken his place, if he would have died or whatever, that's like your vice president kind of thing. She is terrible. She's the one who froze the bank accounts of protesters. Don't even get me started. Okay. Look, I know that the protests here in Canada, when it came to the truckers, is very divided. It's like January 6th of the US. People hated them for what they did, but they were protesting the mandates on getting vaccinated. They were protesting the government forcing truckers to vaccinate them or they couldn't cross the border to do their job. And people were like, oh, the government didn't take your freedoms away. The government wouldn't allow you to travel unless you had a vaccine passport. I'm vaccinated, and because I believe in vaccinations, okay? But at the same time, I also believe in free bodily choice. You shouldn't have to take it if you don't want to. The government was forcing people to do it, and so the truckers had no choice but to set this protest up where they came to downtown right in front of Parliament, and they set up, and they were peacefully protesting. And the government tried everything. And then they pulled a War Measures Act, the Emergencies Act in Canada, to shut it down. War measures. These people had bouncy castles and DJs out in the street feeding homeless people. And they were disruptive, yes, but that's the point of protest, right? They didn't disrupt this traffic or anything because that road is very, very rarely used to get anywhere. They did it on, like, it was all planned that way. And he froze people's bank accounts. The moment Trudeau and Freeland froze people's bank accounts in Canada, it was over for them. It was over, because that is a government that will do anything they want to people. Government serves the people, not the other way around. So when the government freezes bank accounts of people they don't agree with, that's Hitlerian. Okay, I'm sorry, that's Hitlerian. But everybody accuses conservatives of being Hitlerian. But that truly is the proof in the pudding that they did Hitlerian tactics to stop a protest. All they wanted to do was speak to Trudeau. Did Trudeau speak to them? You know what he did instead? He faked getting COVID and said, I can't speak to them. Yes, it disrupted traffic downtown. Yes, it did. But it didn't disrupt highways. It didn't disrupt. You could get anywhere in Ottawa except in front of Parliament building. They didn't disrupt anywhere. You could go anywhere in the city. They didn't disrupt it. If anything, the cops disrupted it more. Abortion isn't a hot button issue here like it is there because doctors don't have religious influences. And they're not going to touch that. They're not going to touch it in Canada. It's not happening. Do you know we have a program called MAID, which is medical assistance in death? And something like 50,000 people, I think this year, I could be wrong about that number, 10 to 50,000, something like that, has chosen MAID because they can't afford to live. They can't afford to wait for surgeries. They've chosen to be put to death instead. And our country's like, yeah, let's do it. I like our socialized medicine to a degree, okay? Because like, I believe that if I need to go get cancer treatment, it's going to happen. And I can afford to go to Bumrungrad or to these hospitals, which I'm going to be doing in the future, to go get I can afford extra healthcare if I want to go do pre-screening and all this kind of stuff. But not everybody can do that. That's so scary. Our country is so damn broken. And I don't think there's any way out of this. I don't even think that Pierre will be able to get us out of this unless he has a clear mandate for at least 10 years to do what he needs to do. I haven't heard about it. My wife and I talk about it a lot because she's a nurse, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Many people worked full-time, living comfortably at homes and lost them. They're living in their cars and using food banks and soup kitchens to feed their children. Thanks, Trudeau. The food banks, there's never been more people using food banks than ever before in Canada until now. The price of housing has gone up 40%. The price of food has gone up something like 20 to 40% in some cases. Okay? The price of everything has gone up. Fuel. Everything has gone up because of the carbon tax. And Trudeau doesn't give a shit. The Liberals don't give a shit. And all they'll say, when you ask them a hard question about this in Parliament, they'll just be like, we're working for all Canadians engaged. They don't ever have to answer a question. Never mind the intense amount of scandals. Okay? That app that we had created for COVID went something like $600 million? And they don't know who. There was a guy in his basement that it went to. It didn't even work. There's so much scandal in government, in ours and yours. I'm so disenfranchised by government, by politics. If you understand politics, all it does is make you more sad. More than 15,000 reported received made in 2023. 15,000 people in Canada chose death over getting treated. Chose death. Yes, I agree with you, RGNJ. I hope you guys get good change. Pierre's voting record shows he's not much different than the Liberals. I'm telling you, even our Conservatives are pretty damn liberal. But look, if Pierre just gets in and he just eliminates the carbon tax right off the top, which is what he'll do. If he defunds the CBC and if he does his own Doge on the Canadian government, I'll be happy. That's it. That's all I want. I want our government to stop wasting money. I want us to be taxed less. I want to be able to protect my family. I want to be able to make money and not have the government steal more than half of it. Those are simple, basic things that I think every Canadian, I think every person who lives in the country would be happy to have. Okay? I just want the government to get their damn hand out of my pocket because all they're doing is giving it to people who don't want to work. The middle class is being removed. They are pricing at the middle class of Canada. Yeah, people are using MAID to escape financial crisis in Canada. And they're like suggesting it. Like they're like, well, it looks like you can't get any money. And people who are on disability are being shat on and have been shat on for the last 20 years in our country, maybe longer. Like, I think if you have a disability, then I'm happy as a taxpayer to help you live a good life, a good, fulfilling life that you're taken care of medically. You got a nice place to stay. You get everything you need because you are medically not able to be a part of society like the rest of us. I'm happy to pay for that. Okay? But people who are on disability here live the most poverty-stricken, disgusting lifestyles, and the government doesn't give a shit. Okay? I'm happy to pay for that. What I'm not happy to pay for are people who have been on welfare their entire lives, dependent on the government, and the government wants them to be. Oh, yeah, our politics are very, very, very similar, okay? Very similar. Yeah, this is a good question. I want a leader who can answer a question. Now, this is a both sides thing, though. Let's be real, okay? If the Conservatives have messed up and done something wrong, Liberals can call them out on it. Everybody, if you ever watch a session of what do you call it, in our Parliament, just watch a session. Nobody answers a damn question. Nobody does. And they're not held accountable, and they just filibuster the whole thing. They never will ever answer a question. As a taxpayer, it is the most frustrating thing to see. My MP, Liberal MPs, any MP, never have to answer a question. Change that rule, and you got my vote. If you don't answer a question, then you can be like held into contempt or something like that. I don't know. Canadians are not as invested in politics as Americans are, and that's a problem. Because they just let these people run rampant and then wonder why 10 years down the road, why am I poor all of a damn sudden? Why is the government taking more than 50% of my income? People scoff at me for saying that the Canadian government takes more than 50% of our income. It's damn true. Right off the top of the bat, okay, on your paycheck, 35% goes to the government. The cream of your paycheck, 35% of it instantly goes to the government for certain things, CPP, for taxes, for whatever, right? Roads, all that kind of stuff. Right off the top. Then if you own a home, you pay something like $5,000 to $10,000 a year in property taxes. Okay? Then when you go to the store to spend that 65% that you have left over, the government is then charging you 15% more on HST for gas, for groceries, except for fresh food. You don't get taxed on fresh food. Okay? For anything else you want to buy in the world, it is 15% harmonized sales tax. So people are like, it's not 50. It's 35 plus 15%. Plus, then if you get money in, or if you need to give money as if you're dying and you're giving that money to your kids, that gets taxed. If you want to sell something, technically you have to tax it. You are taxed well over 50% on living in Canada. And it is bananas. Okay? Bananas. The US, you can live in a state that has less state tax. You can be wealthy in the States way easier than you can be wealthy in Canada. There is no benefit to starting a business in this country because the government will take 66% of it. It pains me that you're a conservative. You spend your whole life on the internet bitching about women trying to make income for their families. Most of the time, you're talking utter crap. I'm not conservative. I'm a libertarian. I'm a centrist. I used to be a diehard conservative when I was a pastor. If you have seen the swing that I have taken from who I used to be now in the center, I'll scoff at you. Okay. I absolutely used to be super pro-life. I used to be like this, that, and the other thing. I'm just a common sense person who's like, stop stealing my fucking money. That's what I am. So you're mad at me for wanting to hold on to more of my money. You're an idiot. And what is conservative? Like, again, I'm not conservative. I'm a libertarian, but I guess I'd lean more conservative. Sure. But I'm not allowed to speak about child exploitation because I lean more conservative. You're a moron. Canada is better in certain ways. Socialized medicine, I think, is better than the system that you have. Considering our systems both completely fail us all the time. I just listened to a podcast. It was with Joe Rogan and this guy. I forget his name. I'll have to get it for you. Let me see if I can find his name. Anyway, he basically was calling out the way that your medical system is super corrupt and it doesn't work. So if both of our medical systems don't actually help you in the end, ours is better. So I don't get a bill for $350,000 for a surgery. So that's the only way that it's better. Yeah, this is true. A mother exploiting your children is not a career path. And if you have to exploit another person to get ahead in your life, you're a bad person. Okay, you're a terrible, terrible person. Can't make it on your own. If you have to take, especially your children who you're sworn to protect, to make money, you can go F yourself. The drama for the day isn't over. They're about to solidify the U.S. election. I wonder, is that today, January 6th? It's January 6th. Holy crap. I wonder what's going to pop off. I won't, if that's the chose to resign today. I don't think so. That's not why maybe he chose to resign today because because the January 6th thing is going to happen. And maybe he thinks it'll overshadow this and he could just, maybe. What is your view on Canada uniting with USA? Nah, it's never going to happen. Don't want that to happen. I mean, we can just, if Trump makes it an easier path for Canadians to move to the US, I could see that being a thing. And he'll take the cream of the crop from the Canada and it'll leave Canada stranded, which kind of sucks, but it's never going to happen. We are a tax burden bigger than California. So moving to Canada is good if you like a medical system again, but don't forget, like, everybody thinks it's free healthcare here. It's not, guys. Again, I just told you I'm taxed at well over 50%. That's because our medical industry, like our medical socialized medical system, takes 30% of that. And it's still bad. Like, people are still dying while waiting for care here. Like, lots of people are. Okay. And that's generally not the federal government's fault. That is generally the provincial government's fault because they're the ones who run the systems of each province. So that's like your governor. Okay. Our premier is a guy named Doug Ford, who's a complete and utter twat. And he treats nurses like garbage, and he's all he's doing is lining his own pockets. I hate that guy. And I would vote in a liberal before I voted him ever again in a million years. Ford is a complete asshole. Okay. He's a terrible premier for this province. Who that gets $350,000 hospitals? The heck guys pay hospitals? They don't have insurance. There's no actual penalty if you don't pay it. But isn't one of the main reasons people go bankrupt in the US is medical debt? I'm pretty sure that's true. Yeah, when people say in Canada they're struggling so bad, I legit comment, but aren't they supposed to have help for you? Don't forget, we have 6 months of winter here. This is also terrible. Yes, a new election is probably going to happen starting in March. And then it'll take, I don't know how long from that point it'll happen, but maybe October. Yeah, premier is like a governor. That's what it is. Premier is like the prime minister of the province. Hey, Jordy. See, Jordy, my friend here does a little bit of work for me. She lives in Toronto, I'm pretty sure, right, Jordy? I'm sure I wasn't supposed to say that, but like, you know, like firsthand what it's like to live in a city that's like completely way too expensive to live in. Like, you can't live anywhere near Toronto. I worked in, before I started YouTube, I worked in Oakville, and I had to drive from Waterloo to Oakville every day, 88 kilometers each way, because to live even 30 minutes closer to Toronto would have doubled housing prices. You know, Jordy knows. Yeah, go Eagles. My Eagles. KW has grown by over 100,000. Our local hospitals have not. We staff members are struggling and burning out at a rapid pace. Yep, my wife and I, that's why we're no longer there. Well, one of the reasons we're not. There's 3 colleges in KW region. There's Conestoga, which is bringing in literally tens of thousands of Indian immigrants because they found a loophole in to go get a certificate and stuff. Like, they're not supposed to stay, but they're finding loopholes to stay. Right. And then there's 2 other universities, KW, which is where my son lives, which is where I was just this weekend. He doesn't need to find a job because he works for me, but his friends and his girlfriend, they cannot find jobs. It is literally impossible because the government, and I hope I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I'm wrong about this. The government is giving people who hire student immigrants a 30%. Like, I guess they're offsetting the price of their labor by 30%. So the government is paying these people 30% to hire immigrants. And that's why you cannot find a job here, because they're giving the job to immigrants. I honestly think that's what's happening. 30% they're offsetting it. So if you hire an immigrant, the government will offset their salary by 30%. This is the truth. My kid going to school in Vancouver, the cost of living, $2,400 for a shared apartment per month. You can get a 4-bedroom detached newer home for that in Manitoba. Yeah, but no one wants to live in Manitoba. My BF has been waiting for prostate surgery for 2 years. His life insurance wants 8 times the amount now, even though he doesn't have cancer. I know. That's what I'm saying. The only thing Canada does better, I think, is our medical. Even though they're both garbage, ours is better. I would prefer socialized medicine. It's the only thing socialist I like about my country. Okay, our education system is also way better than yours, just because it's easier to educate less kids, obviously. Our teachers are paid very extremely well, and they should be. Okay, they do complain a lot, but they are also paid very, very, very well. If you were a teacher for 10 years here, you're making over $100,000 a year. Okay, if you're a principal, you're making really good money. Okay, and they should be. They absolutely should be. Our education system is better because we pay our teachers way more. So those 2 systems in Canada, I think we do better. No, there is no legal course if health worsens unless they do something wrong. There's no legal recourse. It's social medicine. Kira's videos tomorrow. Oh, yeah. If you work blue collar here in Canada, you can make as much as a doctor. And I'm not even kidding you. Okay, I just did my bathroom and I'm doing my kitchen, and I work with Mark, and I got my buddy named Chris, who are both home builders, and I know how this works. Those plumbers, if you are a busy plumber, you're making more than a doctor. I'm not kidding. I'm busy electricians, more than a doctor. Blue collar is a dying industry everywhere, I think. And if you want your kid to be successful, encourage them to get into a blue collar job, because holy shit, they can charge whatever they want because nobody's doing it. So much money in blue collar work. I'm considering just going to teach welding or something. I don't know. I'm considering it. I'm a doctor and I can't find a job. What? You can't find a job? We need doctors. What do you mean you can't find a job? You know how hard it is to find a doctor in this country? It's crazy. I'm trying to encourage my wife to take her master's degree and become a nurse practitioner, because I can we can literally buy a building, open a practitioner's clinic, have a doctor at that clinic, and then we could have more people. They can see more people, because practitioners are basically doctors here, except for certain few things. So I'm begging my wife, because she's so smart. She's so good at this, and she's such a good nurse. And they're like, just become a practitioner, because then we can like start a clinic, we can make a little bit more money, and we could help serve our community way better, because you cannot find a doctor here. It is almost impossible. Special ed, yeah, our teachers are like celebrated here, and they still complain. It's crazy. Nah, I don't think we need Trump, but we definitely need somebody who is going to be the opposite of Trudeau, for sure. Facts. My husband's electrician here in Minnesota makes 6 figures this year. His first year as a journeyman too. Yeah, like, and it's only going to go up from there. It's only going to go up. Starts his own business, he can become a millionaire. And good for him. Tell your husband he's awesome. Not Manitoba. My husband's a journeyman electrician, now leading the HVAC trade before tax made. Nah, here, Helen, get out of Manitoba. Come to Ontario. You want to make money? It's insane here. It's insane. I had a plumber come do, he plumbed in a shower and my washer and dryer for upstairs for my bathroom. You saw my renovation. He was here for 3 hours. It cost me $800. It's crazy. Yeah, people are applying for jobs and getting, yeah. Josh, same thing in the U.S. Immigrants came and have most of our apartments, hotels, and homeless shelters. Our rent is trash. $1,600 for a studio. Even $1,600 here would be cheap. I'm not lying. A studio apartment here, $1,600 would be gone instantly. That's cheap, and I know it's not cheap for where you are, but that's where we are. I have liver failure from the Vax and Paxlovid. I'm on disability. I fight every 30 days to keep it. I need a transplant, but yet they think I'm not disabled. Yeah, are you in Canada? I don't think you are, because you have to fight. Here, you wouldn't have to fight for that stuff. HVAC and roof repairs in Texas are high, yeah. Non-Canadian guys, can I ask, is this going to be better? Same here in the UK. UK, you have it worse than us, man. You got a prime minister who's in there trying to tell people who are trying to call out this. I guess there's like a group of people. I don't know if it's true, but like if hundreds and hundreds of girls have been raped by this thing, I don't know what happened, but people are trying to get it called out and see why they haven't been called out or something like that. And he's like, oh, you're racist for doing that. Something's going on in the UK that is going to cause a massive, massive uproar. That's what I think. Airline, you can make decent money for sure. Yep. I'm in Outaouais, and it's $1,618. And Outaouais, $1,600. That's insane. Yeah, I already uploaded my Abby video today. You can go watch it. It's sad that you can get turned away from medical care in the US if you don't have insurance or money to pay. Is that true, though? Like, I heard that doctors aren't not allowed to do that. Like, if you're in an emergency situation, like, you go. But, I mean, if you have to wait until it's an emergency, the likelihood of survival is way lower. Trump doesn't make suggestions without having plans for it. That's what businessmen do. Trump absolutely would make a deal with Canada. It's not going to happen. Canada is not going to relinquish itself to be a U.S. state. It's never going to happen. I promise you that. It's never in a million years going to happen. Maybe in a million years, but it's not in our lifetimes. Yes, I'm a nurse practitioner, but it's tough to get a job. I have one, but it's crazy. I heard it's easy to get a job as a practitioner. Here it is anyway. The ER cannot turn you away, and there are financial programs a hospital provide for people without insurance. Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty respectful chat. There's a couple people don't like that I'm a libertarian. It's fine. Again, I think people who are so far left that they are blind to anything else. People who are sitting on the fringe elements of the left think that everybody that's not there with them are like Nazis. And I think that's bullshit. You need to wake up and start growing up and start getting with the program, because you're going to be left behind when the pendulum swings back to the center. And it is right now. Okay. Almost every major country in the world right now is voting in hardcore conservatives. Again, the fringe of conservatives is not smart either. We all need to be common sense individuals, sit in the center, stop fretting about everything that's outside of the center, and just let citizens be citizens. Okay. It's not the government's job to be stepping into like the bedroom or the wombs or anything like that. Just look, I understand social. We want to make sure that our roads don't have massive potholes, and we want to see our hospitals are funded. We want to make sure kids are being taught in schools. Okay. But I shouldn't be paying to fight wars in countries I have no idea, I can't even pronounce the name of. Okay. I want to keep my money in my pocket and give where it needs to go, not where the government just wants to take and take and take and take and take and then enrich themselves. Nobody likes politics anymore. It has been ruined. It has been changed forever. And it's going to lead to massive, massive, massive wars and civil wars and everything else. Yes, Trudeau resigned. Just resigned half an hour ago. There is nothing wrong either with debate in politics. It's literally the point. But if you're not open to having your mind changed, you're doing it wrong. And I am open to having my mind changed. Guys, if you knew who I was 10 years ago, you would be like, holy shit, how far this guy has come. Okay, because I'm open to having my mind changed. I'm getting older too. That's probably part of it. I have kids. That's probably part of it. But I'm open to having my mind changed if I am wrong about something. But like, I find that the fringes of both sides are not open to having their mind changed at all. I just learned about libertarians and actually told my mom that I feel my views align with 90% of what libertarians are saying. That coming from the proud state of Ohio. I think most people who aren't political would probably, if they understood what a libertarian was, be like, yeah, that's me. Basically, it's a common sense person who doesn't really care that much about the identity politics of it or like the crazy things that don't, it's only people, it really is just like government, minimum government. Let me be me. Let me do what I got to do. Yeah, you're not allowed to speak in the UK. I can't believe people are en masse leaving the UK, just leaving, peacing out. Because they gave a 20-month sentence to a guy who made a Facebook post, regardless of what it was. And then a guy who stabbed somebody, they gave a 5-month sentence to. This is true. Will's right. Take the political compass test. There's probably a bunch online. Answer a bunch of questions, then it'll tell you what you really are. It's a good idea. Political compass test. The political compass. It's literally a website. Take the test. Before taking the test, please note that this isn't a survey. These aren't questions. They are propositions. Propositions are a very different proposition. Okay. The question, the logic, individual, ones that irritate you to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme and some are moderate. That's how we can show you whether you lean towards extremism or moderation in the compass. Your responses should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind. Okay, now try the test. It's pretty cool, actually. Being in the middle of liberal and conservative is libertarian. Don't do the test. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I saw this. There was a teacher in Ireland who was arrested for not saying they, them, and a student because he's Christian. That should never happen. Never, ever happen. The pendulum always swings too, guys. It always has. In the 90s, we didn't talk about race. We didn't see it. I didn't see it. I don't remember ever being a thing. Like my mom once in a while would talk to me because my mother, if you know, she's half Jamaican, she's half black, and she kind of looks it. And she did have to deal with racism growing up. So I understood it from that perspective, but it wasn't something that the society as a whole, not that I remember, ever fretted with. It was never something that was a problem ever. And now it's the most talked about thing in the world. Oh, they'll track you by your responses. Do you feel leaving the evangelical space helped you? Yes, 100%. 100% leaving the church and breaking down my faith and understanding from a non-religious perspective helped my political views change. Yes. I mean, anybody who says otherwise is lying. The U.S. needs to mind its own effing business. No more of our tax dollars for Ukraine. I support Russia. I don't support anything. That's not my business. But sometimes I also feel this way, and I know this is why it's nuanced when it comes to politics. If there's a country that is literally enslaving its citizens and making it so that women are getting stoned and hurt and they can't go to school and they're just basically, you know, being terrible people, I actually support going into that country and changing that. And I know that sounds crazy, but I do. I think people who enslave their populations and have people at the head that are hurting everybody, I have no problem with being like, let's get together as NATO and make sure that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, but I'm saying I would have no problem with that. None. Are you Canadian? Why do you care? Trudeau is an amazing. Are you trolling? Trudeau is an amazing prime minister. Yeah, that's why he has a 16% rate of people who like him. Yeah, totally. That's why the Liberal Party is set up in the next election to get 6 seats. So you're right. You're probably right. I mean, I think most of Canada is probably wrong, and you're probably right. That's hilarious. Oh, I agree. Keep all religion out of government and start taxing uber rich, wealthy mega churches. Oh, they didn't think I was Canadian. Yes, I'm Canadian. Libertarian is not middle. It's quite different from the center. Yeah, I mean, I consider it more centrist than anything else. Maybe more liberal than conservative. I don't know. This is it. This is me, Tommy. Trudeau at first I thought was great. I did. Oh, I thought you were agreeing with me. No, I'm not rich. And when Trudeau came into power, I just told you I was making $35,000 a year. I think it was the young, the haircut, the guy that's got kids and he's coming in and he's one of me. He's like my age. And I'm like, yeah, cool. This young, hip politician, he dresses cool. I was obviously not into politics at that time, but yeah, I did. I voted for Trudeau. Can't believe I'm saying that out loud. I would never in a million years, now knowing what I know, and my politics have swung, and I actually know more about politics than I ever have in my entire life. I would never vote for him ever again, but I did. Muffy Dragon Slayer. I love your name. I don't support going in any country. Yeah, but at the same time, imagine some like freeing some of these countries from their like insanity. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I know it's not smart, but at the same time, imagine. But if you're going to invade a country because you don't believe what they do, just take it. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm for that. You know, if there's people who are enslaving its population and making it so women can't do anything and are only allowed to be in the house and have to be covered up and can't get educations, just take the country. Don't get over there and be like, okay, here's how you should do it. Just take it. Just take it. It's ours now. Okay, you're not trolling. You think he was amazing. Well, you're wrong. And most of Canadians would agree with me. What do you think that Trudeau did was amazing? I'm happy to hear. Do you like the carbon tax? Is that the thing you like? Do you like the SNC Lavalin scandal? Do you like the blackface scandals? Any of that stuff? No? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Hi, Junie. What's up, Bumpy? Yeah, it's literally like saying Biden was amazing. Like, if you say Biden's amazing, I'm going to question your sanity. I think everybody would. Yes, Trudeau got divorced. Y'all have bagged milk. Still something here. What? Y'all have bagged milk. Still shaking my head. There's your carbon. Because we have bags? You can't get a plastic bag in Canada to save your life, or a plastic straw, by the way, unless you're buying bread or buying milk or buying anything, because they're all in plastic bags. Only the east coast of Canada does have bagged milk. From Ontario on, it's bagged milk. She's right. It is funny. Okay, nobody thinks Biden was great. Nobody. He's an old dude who's been in politics his entire life. He's never once, I don't think, ever held a job in the private sector ever once. I don't think a politician should be allowed to be a politician unless they have had jobs in the private sector. Now, I'm not saying Trudeau, because Trudeau was a teacher, so he did hold jobs in the private sector. But like, can we be real? And I don't know why nobody ever talks about this. His dad was a prime minister. He's a Nepo baby. He had no business being a prime minister. It's the only reason he was. He wasn't smart. Never. Once he was in, it was like, okay, what the hell did we do? This guy's an idiot. What subtle announcement? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I booked my trip, guys. I booked a trip. I asked wifey. She said it's fine. I booked my trip, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, but I don't want to give it away because I don't want to get like flagged when I'm there, if that makes any sense. Yeah, no, I would agree with this too. I'd say that you should have served in the military. I think it's very, very important. I love our military. He was a drama teacher in private school. It's still a job. Yeah, Bag Milk is superior. Superior. Muffy the Dragon Slayer. She's right. Trump a Nepo baby. I don't know who's Trump's dad. Is Trump's dad famous? I don't know. And yeah, maybe. Pierre posted a tweet. Let's take a look at it. Do I have Twitter open over here? Twitter X. Pierre Poilievre. How do I search? Here you go, Pierre. Poilievre. Okay, Pierre Poilievre says nothing has changed. Did this 35 minutes ago. Every Liberal MP and leadership contender supported everything Trudeau did for 9 years. And now they want to trick voters by swapping in another Liberal face to keep ripping off Canadians for another 4 years. Just like Justin. The only way to fix what Liberals broke is a carbon tax election to elect common sense Conservatives who will bring home Canadian promises. Yeah, I agree. We're talking about Canadian politics. Yours and my favorite. I mean, at least our politics aren't as bloodbathy as yours. Okay, ours is pretty lame and tame compared to your politics. We're pretty lame. I like it like that, to be honest with you. Is there a cultural difference between the East and West Coast of Canada? I've only ever been to the West Coast. Yes, big time. A lot more poverty on the East Coast. But yeah. No, I think the West Coast is a lot more like same as in the States. West and East are very, very different. Very different. The East Coast is like it's got culturally, the people are really, 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 really salt of the earth, but there's a lot of poverty in the East Coast. Elon Musk is giving us some freedom of speech in the UK. And honestly, I hope that Elon Musk takes his hundreds of billions of dollars and puts it behind the Keir Starmer's natural opponent and just ousts this guy. He's got a lot of power in that money, and he can put way big money behind political foes, big time. Even more poverty. Yeah, I mean, to live where I lived in Sussex, New Brunswick for years and years of my life, and I looked at the real estate prices, and I'm like, who the hell would live there to begin with? But second of all, holy shit, it's even too expensive to live there. Quebecer, happy that Trudeau's gone. It's interesting. What? Really? That's not going to work. It's crazy to me. I was just about to sit down and do a video too on, I think, the solo dad, and then this happened, and I'm like, okay, we're doing this. We are doing this. This is a big part of history in Canada. I like to do live streams on the biggest parts of history, like when Trump was voted in. We did an election. When people make big giant announcements, I like doing these podcasts. I like talking with you guys, even if we might not always agree. I like that we can have these conversations. I've not heard from Roland Pollard since. Nope. Here's my thing on Solo Dad. Okay, I want to find out who his wife is because I want to show everybody who she is, because she gets to enjoy anonymity on the internet and not have her privacy put out there, but she doesn't protect her kids from the same thing. So I'm making it my personal goal to find out who his wife is and tell everybody who she is. I'm not going to call her out as much as I'm going to call him out, but I'm definitely going to call her out too. So if anybody knows Solo Dad's wife, please let me know. Please. Yes, PEI is East Coast. Big time East Coast. It's beautiful too. Beautiful island. Solo Dad is a guy on TikTok and YouTube who says he calls himself the Solo Dad, but he has a wife. He's not a solo dad. Like, he's trying to like pretend that he's a single dad, and all his videos basically look like that, but his wife just works an opposite schedule as him. So she likely does half the work, and he claims he does it all. It's kind of gross, actually. He's definitely tricking people, and he's tricking people into thinking he's poor, and he's not poor. Okay, him and his wife both work in, I think he's a physician's assistant. His wife's a nurse. They make lots of money already, and then he makes lots of money online too. So I'm looking for his wife. Oh, Inghams, those damn bastards. Thought they were in Dubai. Do you all the same rules? Yeah, you have to be a native Canadian in order to be a prime minister. And I think of a certain age, yes, probably. Nobody trusts Jugmeat. Not even Jugmeat trusts Jugmeat. Solo Dud acts poor and wants people to send him stuff, and they just bought a new house. He talks about his kids being sick all the time. Yeah. He's an actor. Again, I'm looking for his wife, just so you guys are aware. So let me know if you know. No, I would never run for politics. No office. Never. Never in a million years. Yeah, so BC is, no, I don't know, not as high as the US, but it's pretty high here. Jugmeat's getting his pension. That's it. He's celebrating this announcement. He's all high because he gets his $250,000 a year. He doesn't care. Crazy. So if nobody knows what proroguing Parliament means, it means basically shutting down the government. Not the government who works for the government, but like the MPs and people who make, bills and stuff. He's shutting it all down. He's like, no more work for you guys. We're going to go look for a leader, because he can do that. Some people are saying Pierre is no hero. Again, as long as he does those things he's promising right off the top, he's better already. He might not. And again, I think we live in such an era of politics that if he doesn't perform the way he said he's going to perform, he'll be out in 4 years easily. Okay. Like, no one's messing around now. He's got to bring in what he said he's going to bring in, or he's gone. He will create enemies instantly if he doesn't. You know what I wish they would do at DQ is, that fudgy center? I wish it was double the size. I wish they would just sell the fudgy center. Just the big, giant fudgy center. But I should get some cake. Yeah, there's no, what do you call that? Holy cow, my brain just blanked. Yeah, you can be prime minister for as long as you want, as long as you're voted in. There's no term limits on a prime minister in Canada. You can get custom to do 3 layers of crunch. What? Since when? Nobody's celebrating Gypsy Rose on this channel. Gypsy Rose is a twat. She should not be celebrated. No term limits. Not in Canada. Nope. He absolutely destroyed Canada. 100% destroyed Canada. And that's why he's sitting at 16%. You think Kamala should have been president? Oh, he thought. Sorry. Okay. No. There should be, I agree, there should be term limits. There should be term limits. No, he had to resign because there was no way he was going to win the next election. It was never going to happen. And Jugmeat was saying, without saying it, but when he gets his pension, he was going to call a no confidence and call an election anyway. And Trudeau knows he's going to lose, and so he has to step out now. So they have 3 months to find a leader. That leader is not going to win the next election, by the way. It doesn't matter who he chose. There is nobody in the Liberal Party that's better than Trudeau. Nobody. They're all as bad or worse than him. That says a lot about the Liberal Party. They are worse than Trudeau. He was kowtowing to the most liberal part of his party, and they're all the ones in power. Crazy. Canadian Liberals are a special kind of weird. I think every political leader is afraid of Trump. Insane. Anyway, thanks for coming out for my Canadian political history moment here. We call that a heritage moment. You see our heritage moments on Canadian television. They're awesome. Doctor, I smell burnt toast. Do you know that basketball was invented here? I know that because of Canadian heritage moments. Okay. I think the first brain surgery was done here. That's the burnt toast thing. Canadian heritage. I love being Canadian, don't get me wrong, but I'm also sick of giving all my money to the government. So if I could move to the States, I would move to the States in a heartbeat. If Trump makes it easy for Canadians to move to States, I'm choo-choo. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here, and I will see you on tomorrow's video. And go watch today's video on Abby Fickley. It's an important video. So I will talk to you when I talk to you.